All right, hey y'all, hey. So let's just get right into it. There is no episode 21 review. Shit got hectic. So episode 22 of Tyler Perry's Sisters. The preacher dude, I think his name is Aaron, but at this point he's just the preacher dude. The preacher dude, his mother-in-law is at Karen's shop, and she's still upset about the fact that her daughter died in Karen's shop, and she has a toy gun. She's threatening Karen, and she's throwing out threats saying her son is going to come handle them because obviously her son-in-law was sleeping. Well, her son-in-law was sleeping with Karen, and she just can't deal with the fact that her son-in-law's affair led to her daughter committing suicide. So, she's having a tough time with that. But what she did not know is that Karen's mom is there, and Karen's mom has been a Marine her whole life, and she is not about to take it. Like, she's for that incident, they thought it was a real gun. She was standing there in between Karen and preacher dude's mother-in-law, like, hey, get out of here. If you ain't gonna shoot nobody, you need to go about your business, like basically calling her on her bluff. And Karen's mom also lets her know, like, hey, maybe your daughter, has a role in this as well. She's not this perfect angel that you would like for her to be. And lets her know, like, mama, you are Looney Tunes just like your daughter, basically, at this stage of the game. So, I would definitely agree in that aspect, but, yeah, so that was interesting. But mom left, and she let them know, like, hey, my son's gonna be at the funeral, which I guess the funeral has yet to happen, and he's gonna have words, or he's gonna resolve the issue with Karen and the preacher dude. So, yeah. All right, so during the scene, we do learn a little bit more about Karen's mom. I don't remember her name at the moment, but she is. We learned that her mom has been a Marine most of her life. Active duty Marine and all of these good things. I think she mentioned being a sniper most of those years, which would give you a little bit of insight into why Karen is so emotionally detached, in my opinion, because just trust me on this fact. With being in the military, being prior military myself, I know that being in the military kind of creates detachments because you're always away from your family, and their job when you go into the military is to break you from what you know and kind of build you back up into what they'd like for you to be, which would be somebody that's just willing to kill and be what their definition of what you should be. So I could definitely understand that, and she may also be detached from her mom because it seems like Karen has had a pretty stable upbringing, but her mom has been in the military, and that does not work together considering you have to move, at a moment's whim whenever they deem it necessary. So that gives us a little bit more information into Karen. I thought that was interesting just to kind of get a little more information in how she is and why she's so tough and, why she's unrelenting in some instances. So makes sense. Definitely makes sense. She kind of has a military mindset. Sans military, she's tough on people. The emotions aren't really there. She's not really emotionally available. So okay, good to know, I guess. So after everything, Aaron, the preacher dude, shows up, and he's like, oh, I was hoping to not, get here before she does, because I know she was coming. She was making these same idle threats at the funeral home. So, and so they go inside, and Lisa is Karen's mom. She lets him know, like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. Meet me outside. And she's letting him know, like, I don't know that, I don't know what kind of dude you are, or if you're just preying on my daughter because she's cute or whatever the conversation was. And she does in the conversation let him know that, hey, if anything happens at this funeral, or if there's anything that happens to my daughter, it'll be her to pay for you, your mother-in-law, your kids, your aunt, your grandma. Everybody can get it. And I'm willing to believe that Miss Lisa is about that life. So yeah, Aaron, you might want to figure that out without getting Karen any more involved, because y'all didn't have no affair, in my opinion. So mother-in-law's going a little hard. Now she's about to get the brother involved. That could just be a whole nother can of worms. All right, so Moving on, the private investigator is talking to Andy's ex-assistant Fatima, and the private investigator tells her that that they're letting Andy take the fall for everything. Now, at this point, through the rest of this episode, that's going to be a mystery as to what this everything is. And Andy's assistant is now interested in what Leslie has to say, and she lets her know, hey, if you want to talk about it, I'm not interested in you, even though you're interested in me. But let's meet up at the coffee shop to discuss the details. So the private investigator agrees. So we'll, I guess we'll see what happens with that next episode, because it does not come into fruition this episode. So then they agree to meet up at the coffee shop. Morris was there, and he meets the PI and tells her, I can't be in contact with you because what's that lady's name? Sorry, I'm blanking out. I can't meet you anymore because Jasmine has fired you, and him and Jasmine are a thing, low key. So Jasmine has fired you, so I can't be seen with you anymore. Anyway, he was at the law office having a meeting with the partners, and with Bellamy, I guess, which is one of the law partners, and she was like, yeah, okay, that's fine, but you still owe me a paycheck, like you still owe me one more installment. And he was like, basically, I ain't give you that either. So that was jacked up, but it's Morris. There's not a whole lot you can expect to be legit coming from him at this point. Moving on, Andy's talking to Gary, and he's putting that charm on her yet again. She's making all these wonderful promises, and gross. And he tells her he hopes everything works out. He seems to always be a little iffy when she talks about wanting her job back, and kind of not interested. And I think he don't want her to go back to work. He really just wants her to be home, and he wants to take care of her and all these dreams and wishes that he has for her life. So yeah, so she kind of called him out on that. Like, you always get real weird when it comes to talking about my job, and he lets her know that that I have a lot of pain that comes associated with your job. Blah blah blah. Who gives a damn? All right, moving on. So Calvin, last episode we learned that Calvin's dad passed away. One of his dads passed away. So he is at Sabrina's house, and he's he's getting sloshed, like he getting drunk, and he's upset that his dad has died. But what he decides to do, instead of just jerking his sorrows away, he takes all that frustration and anger out on Sabrina, and he is the rudest he could possibly be to Sabrina at this point. And she cuts him off for drinking, and she was like, let's take a break from the drinking. This is getting out of hand. Let's just take a break. And he decides to call her a bitch. Then he goes on to say he should slap the shit out of her. And since she wants a thug, he gonna be a thug. Start sagging his pants and getting all up in her face, like real aggressive. And then she pushes him off, and he lets her know, like, if this is what you want, it's not me. Like, I can't be that person to you. And he's not the one who's doing the most, but I guess he was trying to give her a glimpse into what he thinks she want. Yeah, sure. So she pushes him off, and then she goes into the kitchen, gets a bucket of cold water, and she dumps it on him, which I guess sobers him up a little bit. And then we get a drunk confession out of Calvin, and his issue is that I guess this is the first person he's fell in love with at first sight. His words, not mine. The first person he ever fell in with at first sight, and the person that he fell in love with, which I guess we would assume he loves her at this point, the person that he fell in love with doesn't think he's man enough for her. And in that instant, I have to agree with Calvin. Like, I feel like Sabrina likes him a lot, but that is based on a preconceived notion of what she thinks a guy needs to be. Now, we've already established through this whole season that is not who Calvin is. So, Sabrina, at this point, you just have a choice to make. Like, are you going to accept Calvin and his version of Calvin, or we're going to keep expecting him to change? That just sums that whole thing up, in my opinion. All right, so then he goes on to confess that his biological uncle didn't want him to be gay either. I guess kind of drawing that parallel between how Sabrina doesn't want him to be gay, even though he is not, in his words. And that his adoptive father wanted him to stay in touch with at least somebody on his biological family side, and it just happened to be his uncle. And his uncle, lets him know, like, hey, you're being raised by two dudes, but you ain't gonna be gay. So he drove this young man at the age of 9. He drives this 9-year-old down to the south side of whatever city they're in. I mean, south side, you can just about imagine the area, and made him have sex with a woman in front of him, I guess, just to prove that he's not gay, or just to reiterate the fact that you're not going to be gay. And the lady that he had sex with was 40. So I take that to be he made his nephew have sex with a prostitute. That's just my reasoning, my reckoning, how I made sense of it. It is what it is. So, I guess that kind of put Calvin in a bad space. So, he lets Sabrina know, like, I'm not gay, but I can, throw down in the bedroom thanks to my uncle. I made him so proud and all this stuff. So, I guess that kind of gives a little bit more insight into some of what Calvin has had to deal with, independent of being assumed to be gay and growing up with 2 dads. So, poor Calvin, you got a lot going on right now, brother. It's gonna be all right. Okay, so Fatima's meeting with the private investigator Leslie at the coffee shop, and now she's having second thoughts. Leslie's, she backpedaling and puts Papa, she, him, and hollering, "Girl, give us the information. This is taking too long. Let me know what I need to know." So we learned that Fatima has a psychology background, and she can see right through Leslie and her reservations. So she tells, but Leslie, she's softening up and she wants to give him the information, but in exchange for something. So she asks, Fatima, what's in it for her? And Fatima tells her, like, I introduced her to my friend Nikki. And she's like, what if I don't like Nikki? She was like, everybody likes Nikki, so don't even worry about it. So now they have to meet at some bar at 8 o'clock that night to meet Nikki in exchange for Leslie giving her the information about how Andy is being set up to take the fall for something. Which I'm assuming Gary, Morris, and Jasmine are setting Andy up to take the fall for some other grand scheme of things. She must be a good, pawn for that. So I don't know. So this whole scenario is drawn out to another function, another time. Just tell the damn girl what the issue is. That annoyed me just right then. All right, so Andy stops by Karen's house to tell her that the law firm called her. She needs to have a meeting with them. Then Karen tells her everything that happened at the shop earlier with the moms. And Karen, so they chop it up. They go their separate ways. Karen is meeting Aaron for dinner, the preacher dude, that night, but can't stop thinking about Zach. She tells, before they, break up and go to their respective corners, Andy and Karen, Aaron tells her, I really do like Aaron, but I keep thinking about Zach. And she's still torn, child. Like, she still don't know what to do with Zach, girl. Let it go. Let it be finito. Just stop. Just stop. Just let it go. And Andy is in there gloating about the fact that Gary is upset about Jasmine sleeping with Morris, because last episode she revealed to him the Morris and Jasmine information that she's learned. She just feels like that has been a win for her, and maybe her and Gary have a chance at being together, perhaps. I don't know why that was such a victory, but yeah, she's gloating about that to Karen. And then Karen asks her, in my opinion, as a sign of foreshadowing, like, girl, do you really know Gary? Like, are you sure you know Gary? And Andy gives some vague answer, and we leave that at that for now. All right, so back at the ranch, back at Sabrina's, she's helping drunk Calvin get off the floor, and if I'm not mistaken, she whispered to him that it happened to me too, or something along those lines happened to her also, but she didn't get into it. She was more concerned with helping him get undressed, and he's just belligerent drunk at this point, just so rambling about whatever it is. He loves her, and his dad is his dad okay, and just a whole bunch of drunk jibber jabber at this point. So I guess when he sobers up, they're gonna get more into their independent confessions to each other and finally figure it the fuck out. That would be nice. All right, so Gary is walking to his car. Don't know where this location is, but it's on top of a parking structure. He's walking to his car and he sees that it is trashed. And Jasmine's crazy ass pops up from behind another car like some sort of sniper. And she going ham. Do you like my handiwork? Blah, blah, blah. Whoop de whoop. Da, da, da. And she tells him, oh, you come to get the rest of your things so you can go be with Andy? Well, they're in the car. So everything is in the car that she has destroyed. And Gary confronts her with the information about Morris, and you know, she is gloating about the fact, yeah, I've been sleeping with Morris. You know, I slept with him in our bed. I ain't have enough decency to change the sheets. Now that would have got your head knocked off your shoulders if it were me. Just saying. But you know, he was trying to keep it calm, and he realized like, okay, you're trying to get a rise out of me. I'ma go. So he's trying to get away, and she finally gets out the front of him, gets out of his way so he can, you know, go on about his day. But then as he's walking away, she reminds him like, hey, didn't your mom die in a fire? And he stops dead in his track because she's about to use that information, I guess, to hurt him. And so she was like, okay. She takes his mom's ashes and dumps it in the gas tank of his destroyed vehicle and sets it on fire. And then while that is happening, she starts attacking him with the bat, start beating him with a bat. She's jumping on him, she kicking him, she beating him up. And you know, he's just trying to get her off of him, and she jumps on his back. And he's trying to get her off, trying to shake her loose. And so this massive struggle ensues. And unfortunately, she's on his back and he's stumbling trying to get her off. And he finally gets her off, but when she gets off, when he shakes her off of his back, it is right over the ledge. Right over the ledge of the parking structure, and she lands on a car, down on top of a car, down maybe 1 story, 2 stories down from the top of that ledge. So she's still moving, you know, rambling a little bit in the preview for the next episode, but Jasmine may not be in good condition. And Gary, I don't know how you're gonna get out of that one. I like to see how Andy can spin this one again out of this kind of trouble, because this is a bad situation for Gary at this point. So if I'm not mistaken, next episode may be the season finale, or we may have 1 or 2 more for the season finale. So I'm gonna stay on time. I'm gonna be timely, and we're gonna go from there. So things are, you know, picking back up because it got slow there for a while, in my opinion. But that has been my episode 22, season 1 of Sisters, Tyler Perry's Sisters, and I will see y'all in the next one. Y'all stay safe and stay home unless you have to go out. Please. Okay? I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.